Richard Dawkins on the big questions, is the Bible still relevant today? Natural World YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend checking out my prior reactions to recap. Richard Dawkins here, you see this priest on the right here. This guy like does not know how to be quiet. It's kind of irritating, and he cuts a lot of people off, but then likes to cut them. Hey, let me finish. It bothers me. And then you have a rabbi here who I think means very well in what she's saying here. Most of the voices in the audience seem to be pro-Bible, pro-ethics. The Bible taught us everything we need, and we need to follow the book. And you got like two major voices, now three since the last reaction, the gentleman who brought up slavery in the audience, which was powerful. Who's to say? You use the book as a weapon against my people. And let's see what happens in this third session. I hope you'll subscribe, hit the bell. Most of you watching haven't subscribed. Join the family. Drop a comment. Give me your recommendations for future videos because that helps us, and I really look forward to seeing what you have to say. So, here we go.
It has come from the Decalogue. It has come from the Sermon on the Mount. It has come from the moral and spiritual teachings of Judaism and Christianity. And that, just a minute, and that moral criterion is then also used to critique the Bible. I mean, this is the great thing about the Bible. The writing prophets manifest that very clearly, that there is a principle of self-criticism in the Bible itself. This is why it has the capacity to liberate people. That is why Martin Luther King and others are using the Bible and not Shakespeare. I would be very interested to see a civil rights movement come out of Shakespeare.
I was talking about Richard Dawkins in the last session. Yeah, Shakespeare is not a religious document. It's a powerful piece of literature, and of course, a lot of people were inspired and influenced, and plays are still written or acted out based on Shakespeare. But yeah, you don't really get it with that because you don't have these fundamentalist nut jobs that are obsessed with one book and have to keep that one book, and that's it. And it's the only thing.
I think that, Nicky, again, even if you go and do some research on Dr. Martin Luther King, he didn't only use the Bible, he used other forms of inspiration. And one of the things what he did was he opened up a dictionary in one of his sermons and he read all of the things about white so virtuous, beautiful and good. And then he read all the things about white was so demonic, despised and whatever. And then he said, I am black and I'm proud because politically I know what that means. So let's not even distort Reverend Martin Luther King's message, because I think that what is interesting for me, you mentioned decent, so then you're going to have some kind of oppositional indecent. But who determines who is decent and who is indecent?
Dawkins used the term.
Because under any kind of proselytizing campaign, you will go up against what you consider to be indecent. This could be people who are living naturally off the land, they ain't troubling anybody.
Listen, sir, I have been
just a second, can I finish? I allowed you to.
He's a bishop.
Just because I don't really, you're what you are, I am what I am. We're God's children, aren't we? We got a voice. So to me, when somebody says, oh, I don't like the way they do things, it's unchristian, that rings serious alarm bells in my head, because I want to know, what does it mean to be Christian? Because is Christian decency what is happening right now in Libya, Afghanistan? A lot of these countries who forward and front these campaigns say they're doing it because of God and we're spreading civilization.
I can only speak for myself when I listen to this.
That was powerful what he just said.
Discussion now, and I think about the memoriality that comes to me from the Bible. What just happened now, the phrase that goes through my head is that we are all created in God's image. Yes. And that fundamental driving point for my view on justice and how we treat each other, of whatever sexuality and whatever gender, drives me, and I derive that from the Bible.
Guy.
What's interesting about...
It's false.
What's interesting about the Bible and morality is that we've been talking about cherry picking. So actually we have a morality which is outside the Bible, which is independent. Yes, we do.
That annoying apologist guy. I can't... He agitates me.
And in fact, no, morality...
I'll be with you in a minute then.
Morality does not come from the Bible. It comes from our evolutionary background. And we've been developing it. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's expand on this,
and
please.
we continue to develop it. For instance, within the last 70 years, we've had the Human Rights Convention, which is a much more advanced morality than anything you find in the Bible, in my opinion.
Yep.
There was nothing. Yeah, you dispute that.
Yeah, I do dispute it. I mean, the human rights movement is a very good example. It is demonstrably the case that the idea of human rights, of natural justice, has come from the Bible through the work of people like Bishop Las Casas in America, of the Salamanca Dominicans, of the moderate Enlightenment personified in people like John Locke. It owes everything to the Judeo-Christian tradition. You may not like it, you may not...
It's weird how everything, it pisses me off. It's like, dude, the Judeo-Christian tradition owes everything to the Greco-Roman and the Near Eastern and the Hittite and the Hammurabi's Code and I mean, like, where do you draw the line, dude? Humans have been passing this shit along forever, and you're just acting like you have the monopoly on it. You're completely full of it.
Agree with it, but that is historically...
The fact is that Christianity has been the predominant religion in the West for 1,800 years, 1,600 years. Okay. Therefore, what? All our ethics must be derived from the predominant religion that also absorbed and grew, catching and capturing all sorts of ideas from other cultures in its inception and develop over time. It's learned things as it's gone in different areas. Christianity behaved differently in different regions. There's just so much stuff, man. This is fundamentalism to me, in a sense.
The case.
Right. But the Judeo-Christian position was the dominant, philosophical backdrop of the age. So
it was rejected by Rousseau and Robespierre, and look where it led them.
Richard Dawkins.
Well,
yeah, and look at where it led all the people who rejected Christianity throughout the last 1,500 years. Beheaded, burned at the stake, and if they had the wrong forms of Christianity, burned at the stake, get the hell out of here.
Of course, you can find verses in the Bible that sanction slavery as well. You can, once again, you can cherry pick, and why bother with the Bible at all when you can go straight to moral philosophy?
Absolutely.
I'm extremely scared of fundamentalism. The same fundamentalism that wants to convert people forcibly is the same voice as you have that says, why bother with this? What I'm concerned about is that you can't hear the different voices.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Look, fundamentalism means tying your colours to a particular book. And
or idea, and rejecting everything else.
Exactly what I am doing is saying, do not tie yourself to a book. Look at the good ideas, reject the bad ideas, accept the good ideas, find good ideas wherever you may find them. That's the very opposite of fundamentalism.
Yes,
fundamentalism is saying, we have here a book, we have to follow what's in that book.
Okay, so that's not my approach to
not
Bible.
your approach,
It's certainly not. Nor the
approach.
approach of most progressive people in this country.
Precisely.
But as a key source text on which we grow and which we develop. And Judaism has taken the Bible and added and expanded and expanded and expanded so that our rabbinic literature is vast, starting with the Bible. But we don't live in the desert anymore. We're not tribes in the desert, and there, thank God, no high priests. And so I live a very different Judaism than the biblical one.
Richard,
Of course, I'm delighted by all that, and that's exactly what I'm advocating, that we should not live by a book. And I know you don't live by the book, but unfortunately, the vast majority of religious people in the world do. But I don't turn around and say, and therefore chuck it all out. The language that you use... Did I say chuck it all out?
You said, why deal with the Bible at all?
I said, why deal with the Bible as a moral text? I value the Bible hugely as a work of literature, as I've said in my book, The God Delusion, at some length. So, yes.
Why is that? What about that stuff, though, Bishop Michael, the moral guidance in Leviticus? If you lie with another man, you're put to death. If you lie with your neighbour's
Here we
wife,
go with
both
the
of you are
cherry
put to
picking.
death. If you're a witch, you're put to death. If you curse your mother or your father, you're put to death. I mean, it's pretty strong and offensive to a lot of people in this day and age.
Yes, the Bible has, particularly the Old Testament, has a great deal in it which was about the society in the desert and how people were to survive in the desert. But certainly from the Christian point of view, none of that applies to any of us today. What we are talking about is the moral and not the cultic teaching of the Bible, which is to be found in the Decalogue. And where would we be as a society without the Ten Commandments?
Well, let me take up the position of the
Where would we be without our Lord's summary of the law? Where would
take
we
up
be?
the Ten Commandments.
Let me finish. Where would we be without our Lord's summary about loving God and loving neighbor? These things are foundational to our moral thinking.
Richard, where would we be without the Ten Commandments is the
Commandment
question.
number 1, thou shalt have no other God before me. Commandment number 2, thou shalt make no graven image. Commandment number 3, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain. Commandment number 4, thou shalt observe the Sabbath. What's that got to do with anything?
Everything.
It means humility. It means, I want to say, that it means humility. The first commandment, there is a God. The second commandment, don't have other gods. What does it mean? I'm God, you're not. Therefore, it's about suppressing our ego.
Oh my God, now we come with the theology rubbish.
And knowing that I, as a human, am not the centre of everything.
Precisely.
But it's all about you. God created you in the image. And what about the animals you evolved out of, right? Like, we're the center of the universe. It's about us. It's about, well, no, it's all not about you. It's about God. Your book is like clearly mixed signals here.
Just stepping back a little bit, the strand of debate that we had a couple of minutes ago about other sources for our moral framework. I nearly said moral compass, the Gordon Brown phrase. You know what I mean.
I'm pretty staggered, actually, at some of the comments that have been made. As a Western culture, we are very text-based. We're very text-focused. There are other cultures, past and present, that are not text-based or text-focused, whether religious or not. They have no problems in negotiating their own sense of a moral frame. You don't need a book of any description to help you to have some kind of moral awareness. Most of the main religions, the main monotheistic religions in the present day, basically advocate treating other people with fairness and treating them decently. But
which one are you thinking of? Are you thinking of caste in Hinduism, or are you thinking of the denial of the human person in Buddhism?
Most people are,
what are you thinking?
We are social creatures, and essentially most religions would say ultimately at the end of the day it's about treating each one another fairly. But where does that go? That's what humanists would say. That's what most societies would say.
I'm afraid this is a hugely idealistic view of society.
What's wrong with being idealistic?
Well, it's because it's wrong. I mean, have you ever come across the caste system? Have you ever lived as an untouchable in India?
There is not injustice. We are human after all.
Yeah.
We're human.
But there's been huge injustice in history in various Christian epochs.
Of course there has been, but the Bible has been there to criticize.
This guy's an idiot.
It and
I can't help but be derogatory.
As you've just said, ideas about the abolition of slavery, about human rights, about civil rights, have been derived. I mean, Martin Luther King was a minister of the gospel. I've been to his church. I've seen the pulpit from which he preached every week.
So is the Bible the moral guide above all else for this planet?
It is historically the guide that has led to the kind of decent people that we are, that Professor Dawkins has mentioned.
But the Bible also says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And when that was taken as a moral principle, thousands of women died.
Over centuries.
Over centuries.
In Europe,
so as soon as you make the book the guidebook, rather than the one to whom the book bears witness,
yes,
you're going to get into all manner of trouble.
Stephen.
And that's exactly why we need constantly to be reinterpreting, re-examining, looking at understanding afresh the Bible in the context.
That's why Richard keeps saying, Dawkins, why do you need the Bible? This is the shit that's going to keep happening. If you have to have the Bible as your moral, ethical framework, this crazy stuff that's happening where real people are dying, Richard's going, what's the point? Francesca's going, you don't need a book. You guys, we don't need this book in order to do that.
2011, not 2011 years ago, when, you know, we're talking about that society, that culture, the attitudes which permeate through.
Why not a fundamental thought about revision? Then, because those
I don't want to revise it.
Well,
we
why
just
not
have
new
to
books?
see
There
it
have been
it's
holy
it's a vital historical document.
Right.
We don't.
Dude, the lady behind him, look at her face. She's kind of like looking kind of like out there a little bit.
To revise the writings of Plato,
past, Stephen.
Or the you know.
Maybe he's so exciting acting that she's like, "Yo, chill out, bro."
No, but put new books in and take some of the others out.
We actually need to understand it and understand the fundamental thinking and philosophy behind it in fresh ways, in the light of history, yes, in the light of modern theological criticism, yes, and we need to use revelation, which I believe didn't stop 2,000 years ago, but continues in the context of the society in which we live today. That means the end of slavery, the bad treatment of women, and some of the other stuff that, frankly, is rubbish in the Bible.
But how do you decide?
Frankly, it's rubbish in the Bible.
There is some rubbish in the Bible.
I'm looking at that purple shirt of yours and hearing what you're saying.
No problem. I am not a Christian who finds simply my faith based on a book written 2,000 plus years ago. It's actually part of revelation and part of my faith in Jesus Christ.
So we all want to do good, and we can discuss together how to do good. Why would we bother to go back to a book that was written 2,600 years ago in order to do that? When you think who wrote that book, they were ignorant, they were desert-dwelling scribes. They had absolutely no...
This is the arrogance of the modern world. This is arrogance, that these people, these geniuses who put the Bible together...
This genius, this idiot here, clearly...
Genius.
Genius. Because even at the level of literature, I mean, why do you admire it as literature if they were not geniuses?
Well, I admire the English literature of the... I've no idea about the original Hebrew. I know.
To look at the Bible and have no idea about the original Hebrew and then to say they were ignorant is frightening.
Francesca.
Come on, I've got to answer that.
Wait a minute.
I've got to answer that. Of course, the Bible was written in Hebrew. I was about to say, when I was cut off, that I have no way of judging the literary quality of the original Hebrew. I'm told that it's very good. I'm told that the original Hebrew is a very good quality. Nevertheless, when we're talking about moral philosophy, when we're talking about the origin of the cosmos, when we're talking about the origin of life, when we're talking about why we all exist, there is no reason whatever why we should treat the writings of scribes in whatever it was, 800 BC, 600 BC, as being particularly wise. We could listen to Confucius, we could listen to the Buddha, there are all sorts of people we could listen to, and we could listen to modern philosophers as well and modern scientists as well. Once again, I come back to the point, there is nothing special about the Bible.
Yes, I want to say, because it depends...
Francesca, do forgive me, Laura, because Francesca was going to stand up for the Hebrew scribes.
Go get them. I'm going to stand up for the Bible. I think we're all at risk of judging ancient people just because they're not like us, just because they've got very different ideas and cultural values to us. Sacrifice, most people don't really sacrifice within the Christian and Jewish traditions today. Some do, but most don't. That's something that's been moved away from, and it's not just because of a shift in holy space. It's also about our new ideas about animals. But I really feel that these ancient peoples were incredibly sophisticated, cultured, and the biblical writers themselves, it's not just that the Hebrew is very good, this is beautifully crafted literature.
Well, yes,
it's fantastic.
I'm sure. But I mean, that's why I mentioned Confucius as well.
But I think don't call them ignorant just because they had a different idea about the origins of the world than we do. I think let's not judge these ancient people.
Ignorance simply means lacking knowledge. It's not a pejorative. It simply
means... they had a knowledge that was different from ours.
But it's wrong. It's just plain wrong.
Right. Okay,
so yeah, it is wrong, and I agree with Richard on this, and I'm a fan of both Francesca and Richard, though I think Richard does get hot-headed so much that the Bible gets thrown out, in a sense. And if Richard didn't mean it, his followers or viewers do. They do intend to go, F the Bible, everything about it. Francesca is trying to point out there's something to treasure here. There's something to enjoy and to study and to learn about our ancient past, the humans of the past. Whereas Richard is going, we don't need the text. And yeah, we can study it as literature. He's saying it, but there's so much weight in fighting against it that it feels like he's saying throw it away. And I feel like there's kind of this talking past each other happening here, and it's unfortunate when you have fundamentalist guys over here who make factually error comments and just crazy. This is what happens when you see a panel like this with so many people, right? And they're all, no, I don't know. It says this, and it means that. We believe this. It's like, that's what you're going to get.
As a Reformed Jew, and I think on behalf of lots of progressive religious people, my idea is that the Bible has developed. And no, you don't stay with just the Bible. The Bible in my life has a vote. It doesn't have a veto on my life. And yes, the other worlds and the other philosophies are very important. I'm not stuck in the Bible, but I'm going to stick up for the Bible.
A guy.
Well, can I say that I was going to agree with the bishop over here, who didn't want to revise the Bible. I don't want to revise the Bible. I want to replace it with something else, like, for instance, A.C. Grayling's good book.
Which is an empty, vacuous, human...
Excuse me, can I just finish?
Sorry, you're right.
Because I actually find it...
Thou shalt not butt in.
Sorry.
I find it poetic, inspirational, and scientifically correct, unlike the Bible. And it's a sort of thing that is actually of value. Not the only thing, but it's an example of what I think would be useful today instead of the Bible.
And you said, let's get, if I may, I'll just get some, don't worry, you're going to have a shot.
No.
Quick points.
We need to find out, is the Bible relevant? Without the Bible, I will not be a human being at all. I studied a lot of humanism, a lot of sciences. Nothing was able to transform my life. And there in the Bible, I found meaning. That's why I am here even before here. Because you mentioned ignorance and other things. That's what people like me were considered a long time ago. But the Bible liberated us.
It's given meaning to your life. Yes, yeah, Ian.
There are lessons we can learn today from the egalitarian lives of people who live, say, in the Congo forest, the Baka Pygmies, the people in Amazonia, who have a moral code, even if they've never heard of the Bible. And they also live more in harmony with their environment, despite the absence of a moral code.
How do we explain that then, Bishop Michael? People with a moral code who've never heard of the Bible.
Of course, I mean, every human being has a moral sense implanted in them by...
It's by my God! My God implanted it!
God. We are not in any way doubting that, but I would urge you not to idealize the communities in the Amazon. There has been internecine warfare among them. They
Don't say that regularly.
Are you shitting me? The guy who's representing Christendom, where Christians have literally gone and colonized and conquered the effing world, and themselves, I mean, East versus West, and Protestants versus Catholics. Do not idealize those in the Congo. They fought. Dude, who the hell are you?
That got Richard into a lot of
the
problems.
Alka Indians, there's been cannibalism. I mean, all of these things. You know, no humans...
Human sacrifice in ancient Israel. Human sacrifice in the New Testament. With a human being killed as an atonement. Come on.
Society is perfect.
Ian's a distinguished primatologist, just to say. Carry on.
I'm just saying, it's a fact of human behaviour that we form alliances, we fight each other, then we change size and form other alliances. That's what humans do.
Well, that's why you have the fratricide in the Bible that comes on so early and is there as the big warning.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what about this whole idea about revision? That would be just anathema to you, Chris, wouldn't it? It's there, and it's perfect, and it's the Word of God, and you've got it in your hands.
I think that's the difference. We're not saying... Christians don't believe this to just be another piece of literature. We believe that when we read it, God speaks. And therefore to edit God and to say, God, you can't say this, or I don't like this about you, is to reconstruct God in our own image.
God speaks through it, but he didn't. It's not like, you know, Muslims believe the Quran is directly
that's right.
dictated. It's clearly not dictated because it's too contradictory for that. It can't be.
It's not contradictory.
Well, it does. It says that. Well, it is contradictory, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is. No.
Golly.
Well, I think
they got a fundy up in here.
Nicky, I think you're right. It wasn't like dictated by God, and it's not meant to be read like that. And why we can.
But it is. There are hugely contradictory things in the Bible, aren't there?
Of course, there are hugely contradictory things. But that's why I said earlier that the Bible.
Listen, I'm just representing.
Hold on. The Christian next to him says there isn't.
Anyone give a contradictory thing in the Bible too?
The Bible is not a single book. As somebody just
said
rightly, it's a library of books.
Richard, would you care to? Chris says, give me an example of something contradictory in the Bible. Would you care to?
Love your enemies and don't kill them.
Sorry. Wait, we've got...
gospel is different to the other.
We've got one, Christina.
There are different gospel stories, and that's...
Can you give Christian an example?
Wait a minute. If you take the Bible as a whole, a collection of books, you have Jesus saying, love your enemies, bless those that treat you badly. In the Old Testament, sorry, Laura, you have people saying, you know, smite them who don't stand up, and those who don't stand up for your God, you know, kill them all.
No, there's love in the Old Testament too.
What are the ones in the Old Testament, Guy?
I don't know, but there is love, like neighbour, or something similar in one of the books in the Old Testament.
The central verse, physically, of the Bible, absolutely at the centre. is love your neighbour.
So it's contradictory in the Old Testament
And indeed,
then,
love
because
is
in
Yes,
other
of course
places
it
it says things that we see in the Quran more, you know, about hating your enemies
let's
and
not
killing
do
them and all that kind
Okay,
of
I
stuff.
don't think that's helpful.
That got Jesus killed.
Sorry?
This is the talk that got Jesus killed. Jesus said it has been said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, but I say no. You know, if someone slaps you on the right hand of the cheek, turn the other cheek.
So he said the Old Testament was wrong.
That was revolutionary speak in those days, and
but
that
he
was
was
the kind of
wrong
stuff
about
that
the
got
Old
him
Testament,
killed.
wasn't he?
So he did say these things.
He certainly would not have called it the Old Testament.
And he
This has been a particular bugbear of Laura's. We must apologise for it.
She keeps on.
Francesca.
I prefer the term Hebrew Bible. It's not a great term, but as an academic, I much prefer that term. Jesus probably didn't have an Old Testament or a Hebrew Bible or a Tanakh. He was referring to a collection. It was a very fluid time, lots of literature. Well, how do you... Yes, but he knew lots of other things, I'm sure, that aren't recorded in the Gospels.
So why would he have said so many things? Why would he have stuck his head above the parapet?
Well, I mean, all we know about what Jesus may or may not have said is what the Gospels may or may... You know, there are lots of other Gospels that have Jesus doing amazing things. Jesus striking a child and then killing him and then resurrecting him.
But that's why they're not canonical.
That's not in my Bible. I will not allow. Come on, man, dude. Shut up.
We're coming towards...
Why they're not in the Bible.
We're coming towards the end, and really, just a few seconds from all of you. Will the power of the Bible continue for another 2,000 years, Bishop Michael?
Well, I hope not. The Christian church is growing.
Someone said, I hope not.
Very rapidly throughout the world. I've just come back from East Africa. The Bible is absolutely relevant to the daily lives of these people.
Of course it is, because they've conquered that area. Africa's been conquered by Islam and Christianity. Come on.
Well, Africa is the one place where that's true, and I think...
Not the one place. There are also in Asia, also in Latin America. Also
well,
in
I
India.
think if the Bible has any chance of lasting, it had better stick with the King James Version, because once it gets turned into modern English, everybody can read it and see what nonsense it is, whereas if you read it in the...
We've only got 1 minute. Laura.
I would say the Bible plus interpretations.
Okay.
The Bible as a source.
Francesca.
I think we cannot possibly understand Western culture and the history of Western culture without the Bible, and so for that reason...
Your equivalent in
we ought to-
2,000 years will still be in business.
I think so. I'll still be in a job, or people like me will still be in a job, yeah.
Well, that's good news.
That's true.
Thank you all very much indeed for taking part. Thank you all very much.
What do you think about that one? That was part 3. If you missed part 1 and 2, you can go back and watch it. I'll try to link them in the description. Subscribe, hit the bell, be notified when we drop these reactions, because, ladies and gentlemen, I love doing these, and I hope you love them. I hope you comment down below letting me know your favorite part of this 3-part series, what you thought that was said in here that you agree, disagree with, whatever. That was kind of chaotic. I never watched this thing through and through, ever. And I'd like to hear from you. Any recommendations? Drop them in the comments. Keep in mind your ways of helping. You can join our Patreon, of course. That's a way of financially helping us, which keeps the lights on. But another way to help keep the lights on is to like my videos, comment down below, because that interaction YouTube pays attention to, and share this bad boy out. Like, comment, share it out, subscribe. Those are the 4 commandments. Please do those 4 things. I really, really look forward to everybody. Thank you again for being part of this community. I'm privileged and honored. And until next time, see you then.